Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. David Orman, and welcome to another episode of The Wellness Shot for the week of May 4th. So it's funny because I wanted to do this about 10, 15 minutes ago, but our lawn guy was here, which is perfect timing in the sense of today's topic. I read a rather disturbing but not terribly surprising report that if you live within a mile, 1 mile of any golf course, the increase of the rates of Parkinson's disease is 126% higher. Parkinson's, and it was specific for Parkinson's, but I suspect you can toss in MS and MD and other types of horrible neurological based diseases. The amount of chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, etc., that is sprayed in just that concentrated area is significant. And I suspect wind, probably animals to a lesser degree, water seeping in the water, etc., as is causing that overload. The liver can process only so much in terms of being able to get rid of chemicals and toxins from the system. And when it is continually overloaded, this is the end result. And this is just the beginning of it, in my opinion. I think you're going to hear many, many, many more diseases correlating with environmental based issues. Uh, so, what's the solution to something like that? It's Arizona, I believe, is the state, and I don't know if it's all of Arizona or just sections of it, but I know good portions of it have eliminated grass, and they basically either have dirt or rocks, decorative type rocks or just any kind of rocks on instead of lawns. You think, well, that looks silly, but anything new always initially looks silly until you begin to realize, okay, green is a nicer color than, dirt, but being healthy is the ultimate. And I would love to see that here in Florida and throughout the rest of the country for that matter. In addition to the massive increase in Parkinson's risk, there are other issues that are of concern when it comes to chemical exposure. You have hormonal disruption, both men and women, but because women's hormonal system is so much more complicated, it has a tendency to lean more so with women in terms of problematic issues. You have chemicals that disrupt endocrine, that interfere with testosterone, with estrogen, with thyroid function, with metabolic regulation. All of that ends up to excessive fatigue from unknown causes, weight, infertility, mood instability. You have anger, frustration, depression. You have lack of creativity when a person normally is. That is all hormonally based. And I'm sure there are many, many others, but those are the major ones. You also have basically neurological damage. So toxins such as your pesticides, heavy metals, and other types of solvents, they damage the neurons. They impair memory. They help to reduce focus and accelerate progressive diseases like the ones I mentioned. You also have a reduction in memory. You have a reduction in recall, short term, long term. You have a reduction again in creativity. And so that it's beyond brain fog. It's, I know what this is. I've answered that question 7 times and I can't think of it right now. Everybody experiences that once in a while. When it is a consistent thing, then there is that could possibly be an issue. And I would not suspect somewhere down the road, and it's going to be a short road, the correlation between heavy pesticides, heavy chemicals, and Alzheimer's and other types of diseases, dementia based. That is going to be exposed as well. You also have chronic inflammation of the joints systemically. And the reason for that is, from a natural medicine perspective, is that the liver tries to process that of these chemicals, which it can do some, but it gets overloaded. When that occurs, heat is the end result. And when heat spreads throughout the body, that's what Western medicine refers to as chronic inflammation. In natural medicine, we simply call it trapped heat, but They're basically synonymous. And so you have that, you have the risk of the liver is, of course, an important part of the immune system. So you have a weakening of the immune system, which makes one more susceptible to other types of issues as well. The good news, there are a couple things that can be done. One of them is as simple as can be get about 3 ounces of pineapple juice, pour it in a blender, get some organic parsley, toss it in, organic cilantro, toss it in, whip it up for about 30 seconds, sip on that every single day for at least a month. That has an affinity for toxic metals. It will pull toxic metals, especially out of the kidneys and to a lesser degree, the bladder and the liver. It will also help to move and flush out other types of chemicals, pesticides, etc., but really has a great affinity for toxic metals. There are also types of metals that have a tendency to lodge in various body parts, in the liver, in the spleen, in the brain, etc. And there are pinpoint specific things that will help leach out substances, metals, for example, from the brain, and metals from the bladder, etc. If anyone is interested in that, please set up an appointment with me. I will design a tailor a program specific for your needs. There are 2 other substances which are fantastic. One of them, a lot of people know, it's called milk thistle, also known as silymarin, kind of a strange name, but that is fantastic for basically leaching out substances which should not be there, for cleansing, for clearing the liver. It helps to detoxify various pathways. So the liver has 2 major pathways. One of them, it will get what's called a xenotoxin, which means a substance which should not be in the system, and it makes it more water soluble. And then it passes it on to the second phase of detoxification, which then the body helps, gets rid of it through urination, etc., sweat. There are times when part 1 does not talk to part 2, and there's a particular mineral which helps with that. But silymarin also is very good for helping both ends, both pathways of detoxification. The second one, there is either an amino acid called L-glutamine or a second one called glutathione. They're very similar. Glutathione has more of a pinpoint kind of a laser beam effect for the liver itself, and specifically for helping the liver detoxify. Whereas glutamine, part of it is converted into glutathione, but part of it is also great for releasing human growth hormone, for example, which helps anti-aging. It helps a person lose weight, gain muscle mass without exercising. Typical signs and symptoms of aging, it can help reduce. That's why one of the reasons why I like that one a little bit more. But those are 2 great substances: milk thistle, glutathione, or glutamine, L-glutamine, plus the drink. And the drink is surprisingly tasty. Generally, when it comes to herbs or natural things, I usually don't get to say that, but in this case, it's actually quite tasty. There's a pineapple-y freshness to it, and like I said, it is excellent for the system. Any questions? Please let me know. If you'd like a topic, please let me know. If you'd like to set up an appointment with me, contact me and I will be happy to do so. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Much appreciated, and I will see you next week. Thank you.